Hey, give me a wave. We're here. And look at that sky. What a beautiful day.
I know, isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah. So we're out in the heartland of industrial
Nisku.
Alberta. Yeah,
Yeah.
very close to the airport. And this is where we've come to find our Qiviut mill.
That's right. All right, let's go inside and see what.
Let's do it.
Qiviut Inc. So I always, because I've had many people come up to the tables and say, "Oh, I saw you in Banff," and I'm like, "No, that is not us. We are, we do all of our production in Canada, and we're 100% Inuit owned."
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And
all right, so give me that pronunciation one more time.
Qiviut.
Qiviut. Okay.
Qiviut.
Yeah.
I wrote it on the
Qiviut.
board there.
Yeah.
Too.
I'll get a.
I used to be a teacher, so we always do Qiviut. This is another piece that we've done. My sister-in-law has made these mini skein earrings as well.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
Yes. We do have some on.
Yeah. Is it? Do I see some bone on those earrings too?
This one. Oh, this one?
No.
Oh, no, these ones. So this one
yeah.
right here. So this is muskox horn.
Wow.
And in the center there is baleen, which is from a whale.
Right.
And these were made by an artist. Her name is Priscilla Boulay, and she is originally from Tuktoyaktuk, Northwest Territories.
Oh, nice.
Yes, she does gorgeous work. This is the last set we have of hers, actually.
Wow.
Are they heavy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are a bit heavy. Yeah.
Oops, hang on here.
Yeah.
There we go. Those are lovely.
Yes, she is very talented.
Yeah.
And
So are all the earrings here made by indigenous artists?
yes, they are all made by indigenous artists. These ones are with walrus ivory. Those are made by Rex Goose and Lester Mamogana from Uluhaktuk, Northwest Territories. Yes. And
Tell us a little bit about, wearing these items, because we've heard that, it's important to know where the artist comes from.
yes.
And, what are your thoughts about people wearing indigenous jewelry? And
I think if you are, you want to wear it and you are respecting our culture, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to wear it. And I've had many people ask that question, like, is it okay if I purchase this? And well, you adore our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. So to me, it is okay. Other people may have their own opinions, but to me, it is okay if you want to use pieces that we've made. It's
And
there to enjoy.
Yeah, and wear it in a respectful way.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
and honoring the artist and the culture.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that is an important piece, is to remember who made the piece. Learn a little bit about the artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can also pass that along as to other people who are interested in the piece as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Those are
great.
beautiful.
Look at those beautiful beaded necklaces.
Go ahead and
Wow.
A lot of these ones were made by a Clayton Abishon. He has a company, Big C Creations, and this one was made by a lovely lady named Deanna Cryer. She is got a company called Wayne's Hummingbirds, and so she does a lot of beautiful beadwork.
Yeah.
We had a lot more of her work in here, but she it's powwow season, so her contract was up, and so she was like, "Do you mind?" And of course, take your things if you're busy.
Yeah.
And then over here, of course, we've got our Nunny heat hand warmers. So traditionally, we used to stuff the Qiviut into our mitts and boots
Okay.
to keep us warm.
Yep.
And so that is where this came from. You just get a piece of carded fiber that has been de-haired, and then you can wrap it or stuff it into your mitts and boots, and keeps you nice and warm. And of course, Qiviut doesn't felt, so it is a fiber, though it may get stringy, but we just give it a gentle pull apart,
Right.
and then it's good to go. So it's a reusable, sustainable hand warmer, which I absolutely love, because as much as I would love to have as much zero waste as possible, and that is a future goal, is to have more environmentally friendly packaging in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking of thrummed mittens.
So yes, so a lot of people ask me about that, and I had this wonderful lady and I'd had many people say, we're going to try it, and nobody got back to me.
Right.
And at the Edmonton Fiber Frolic, I was talking to somebody, and this lady said, "Just a minute, I tried it, and I'm here to tell you about it." She said it didn't work very well, just because Qiviut is so. it's almost silky kind of,
Right.
so it didn't really hold well.
Yeah.
But she said spinning it was very lovely.
Yeah.
But so for future anybody else,
Right.
it does not thrum.
And probably the staple length
The stable length as well, yes.
is short. So
Yes.
because you have to kind of fold it over to make a thrum, right? So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, well, yeah, just stick it. I mean, really,
And
just stick
you
it inside
stuff
your
it in.
mittens. That's even easier, right?
Yes.
Well, you had such cold feet last night, sleeping in bed. Can you imagine a pair of socks with it inside?
Mhm,
Oh, yes.
Oh, you'd be so
Yeah.
toasty.
Yeah.
You'd have to pull Qiviut out from between your toes.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, when I'm even at markets sometimes, because it gets so cold in those buildings, I am just opening a pack and I'm like, I'm just going to stuff this in my shoes.
Yes.
I like to hold it in my pockets too sometimes.
Yeah.
It keeps me warm. I'm always cold. I might be Inuit from the Arctic, but I'm always cold. So a lot of the indigenous art here is from Olahaktik Northwest Territories or throughout the territories and right into the south as well. And then we have our little section here where our stock is a little bit low because the processing takes so long, but we've got our sock yarn here, and then we've got our 100% here as well.
So what's in the sock blend?
A
Tanis?
sock blend, 40% Qiviut, 35% superwash merino, 15% silk, and 10% nylon.
Nice.
Yes.
And is that the last skein you have right now?
I have got a whole bunch of coils that are ready for spinning. So
Okay.
these two are, but this is the last skein of the 100%.
Okay.
We are both going away for July,
Mhm.
and so we will be shut down for production. And then in August, we will get back to it. So there is a bit of a wait list for the 100% right now.
Perfect. So that is the last skein of the 100%.
This is the last skein.
Right.
Yes.
So Barb and I could possibly buy it
Oh,
today.
definitely. Definitely. If you would like to, yes.
All right.
Yes.
And then you have fibre as well.
Yes, so we have a bag here that is de-haired, so we've hand-picked most of the guard hairs out as much as possible. And then we do have one for those that like a challenge and want to have some fun. You can pick it yourself.
Okay.
Right on.
And we do our own knitwear here as well. A new thing we've started is making some crocheted jewelry as well.
Oh, what a
And,
great idea.
My sister-in-law just made this little tiny pin as well.
Oh,
It's got a little bit of Qiviut in there.
nice.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Looks like knitting needles.
Yes, and then we just recently decided to start bagging up some of our bits and ends of yarn.
Mhm.
It's been sitting there. I wish I had time to do more things with it, but we haven't, so I figured we would bag it and see if anybody was interested.
Yeah.
So we've got all our 4 blends here. So we've got our Nivik yarn, we've got our 100%, our sock,
Oh, wow.
our sock yarn, and then our Gunnick blend. So we do have 2 other blends. Our Gunnick blend, which Gunnick in our language means kiss,
Okay.
60 Qiviut, 25% superwash merino, and 15% silk for that one. And then Nivyuk that kind of means like when you just like want to give some love to a baby and you're just like, oh, you're so cute. And that's kind of what that means. And that one's got 60% Qiviut, 30% cashmere, and 10% silk. So it's quite a lovely blend.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice if you wanted to do a set of mittens maybe with some 2-row stripes?
Yes.
This is yarn in there, right?
Yes, it is. So,
fun.
and it could be, there's various sizes
Sure.
in it as well. But I'm sure there are people out there that are very crafty and they can definitely make use of this.
So
I've
would-
also seen people take them apart and then start to card them again.
Right.
And I wish I had the time.
Yeah.
I don't.
So is it thick and can we take it out of the package?
Yes, so it is exactly like, so there's
Oh.
a piece here. So
It
that's
is
that's
fun.
quite a
Very
long,
nice.
Yeah.
longer piece. It is,
2 strands.
so this one would have been a splice. Yeah, this is actually just caught together. So that is
Right.
lace weight. So this one looks pretty good. I'm not sure why that's in there, but it is. And so it could just be that it was spliced out because there was some imperfections in it.
Right.
And I try to, if I'm selling yarn and it costs this much, I want to make it as perfect as possible.
Right.
What a nice way to try it too. In a small little package under $20 is
Yes.
just a wonderful
Yeah.
way to try Qiviut.
Well, you could also it maybe look a little more hand spun,
Wouldn't
right?
it?
You could,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I
You
could
can
see
definitely do it.
putting it in weaving too, Cynthia.
Wouldn't that be
lovely?
cool? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but many uses. So I figured that because we just kept piling it up, and I was
Right.
like, we got to do something with this because I feel
Right.
bad it's just sitting here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something that our viewers can get today.
Yes.
They can order it
Oh
online,
yeah, for
right?
sure. Yes, I think I put it online. I will have to double check. It's been a very busy couple months.
Yeah.
And the other thing we have for hand spinners
Mhm.
is we've got our coils as well. So I've got a soft coil here
Mm.
that is ready to
Wow.
Look
spin.
at that.
And we also do offer the other coils when they are in stock.
Mhm.
And at the moment we are out of, again, the 100%.
Right.
Those ones go fairly quickly.
Right.
And we've got just a few left of these.
And what is this one again?
This one is the sock coil, so that's 40% Qiviut, 35% superwash merino, 15% silk, and 10% nylon.
And how much is in that coil? Like, what's the weight of it?
This one, I actually didn't put the tag on it, so I
Okay.
would have to weigh this one out.
Okay.
But I would say this is probably about
100 grams?
there, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
just amazing,
This whole
hey,
thing,
when
yes.
it looks like, so fluffy, and then you spin it and
Yes, would you like
you take
to?
the air out of it, and
Oh
yeah.
my God. This is so soft. Yeah, you have to feel this.
And it's
Wow.
just 40% Qiviut, but you can even feel, like, I'm holding it right now, and you can still feel the heat
The warmth.
from the Qiviut in there as well.
Mhm.
It is
Yeah.
such amazing heat retention.
Yeah.
I
fiber.
saw you had it on sort of a heat meter.
Yes, so we did have our, we were doing a little video with our Nunna heat, so where we took some clay and we put some thermometers in there, and then we wrapped the one piece with Qiviut and then put a mitten on it, and the other side didn't have that. We stuffed it into a freezer and let it sit for, I think it was 25 minutes, and at the end of that, the one with Qiviut was about 7 degrees warmer than the one without Qiviut, and that was still with a mitten on both
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
So it really, it speaks for themselves.
Yeah.
And I definitely say, like, people, if you're unsure about Qiviut, you have to come in and you just have to give it a feel. So once you feel it, then you're
You're
probably
hooked.
hooked a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that I have a lot of experience with fibers. Cynthia and I have been at this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I always like to put it here on the soft part of my arm.
Mhm.
And I know right away if I can wear it.
Okay, yes.
And this is just so beautiful.
Mhm.
There's not a pick or
Mhm.
a problem at all.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
We went from your showroom, now we're in production.
Yes, so this is the beginning of production.
Okay.
So we purchase our hides from harvesters in Ulahaktuk, Northwest Territories, or on Banks Island, which is a community called Sachs, Harbour, where my family is originally from. And Robbie is from Ulahaktuk. So there are two ways that we take the Qiviut out of the hide. So you can, if it is a spring one where it's just getting ready to shed, then you can pull it right out with your hands,
Wow.
which takes a lot of strength. Robbie is very good at that. And the other way is just the traditional way that, like, my grandparents did it, is with a fork. I have tried many other tools, and there's more that I need to try, but for now, the fork is what works best.
Oh,
Like I
Robbie,
said,
can you
worked
show us that fork?
So it's just a
Oh,
regular fork, and then we've just added some tape. Actually, my uncle did this one. He just added a little cushioning in and then just duct taped it,
Yeah.
and it works well.
Wow. And I'm surprised that the hide is so crisp. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Has it been?
So it has been
Tanned or-
not tanned, it's just been scraped and then dried.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes. And then here is
Yes.
the results, and you can see all the guard hairs in there, which will be the next process. So the next step is we usually start hand picking the guard hairs.
And you want to pull those out, do you?
Yes, we want to take as many of these thick, coarse guard hairs out as possible. So we usually do it very small pieces. So when it's plucked like that, we can just easily just pull them out, because we're trying to avoid taking any Qiviut out with it, because every strand is precious.
Yes.
And yes, we just do. This takes this is the longest part of the process for sure.
Yeah.
And then once this is completed, we'll take this and give it a wash. We let it soak for about a day. We'll do a rinse and then another washing as well, just to make sure we get out all the vegetation. Sometimes there is some blood in it because they are harvested. And from there, once it is all washed and dried, we're ready for the carding machine.
But, you know,
6 years.
there might be things that happen to them too in birth, right? Like, would you get brand new ones?
Like a,
If-
well, the thing is you can't domesticate them, so those would be sitting out on the land, and they were probably if something,
Coyotes.
you know, wolves and stuff would have taken care of that at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
I see. So these are going into, say, an auction or a slaughterhouse, or
No. No, so we don't have slaughterhouses up north. So it's just basically it's tundra, and so what the harvesters are doing is it's a single person, and they go out and they're just hunting. They're on
Okay.
their snowmobile or on their ATVs, and they go out on the tundra and they find the herd, and then they will get what they need, and then they will.
They use it for meat.
Yes, they will eat the meat, and then the horns are used for carving. Every piece is utilized.
Right.
And then what we will do is we will purchase directly from the harvester the hide. So that gives them extra income,
Right.
which really helps with the gas and, you know, food to get out on the land,
Right.
which costs a lot of money. It is not cheap. Like just to get this is extremely, it's a lot of work and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So another reason why we have such a high cost,
Yeah.
high price point.
I was told once that people were harvesting the fiber in March and April, right from trees and fences,
So
and shipping that to
I'm not sure where
suppliers.
that would be.
Alaska.
Okay, so yes, Alaska. So in Alaska, they do have a farm. So you are allowed to domesticate them in the States. You cannot do that in Canada.
Oh.
So, and where we're from, there is no trees. There are no trees. There are no fence posts.
Right.
And it's tundra. And you see the island, how massive it is.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do that, you would almost have to follow a herd around, which
Yeah.
isn't very safe
Yeah.
unless you're, you know, on a snowmobile
Right.
or stuff like that.
Do they shed then?
They do, yes. In the spring, they do start to molt. So sometimes if we get a spring hide, that's where I said we can just rip it right off the hide.
Right.
And if it is more we only get hides during the spring and then in November. So those are the only times we will purchase from.
Right.
And in November, that's where you're definitely combing because the Qiviut is just coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it sort of seemed like a bit of a myth that people could, you know, kind of not shear, but like, you
Go
know,
harvest their
comb
own.
or
Yeah.
have them rub against something. And
Yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could put, you know, fence posts all over the island, but then you've got to get into the permafrost. and
Exactly.
it's a whole thing there.
Mhm.
So for us, our main source is to get it from
Yeah.
the hides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think too, like the harvesting the fiber from an animal that was not diseased or didn't die of natural causes, let's say, means that the fiber is kind of live when you get it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yes.
when the fiber has been shed, it's dead protein. It doesn't have the same kind of quality and
Yes.
luster.
And what happens usually is that it'll get sun bleached, or it is just from nature,
Right.
and it becomes brittle.
Yeah.
So then you can't. So that's what I mean. You have to be almost right there as it's falling off, and must not be like, "Hey, give me." But also very dangerous to
And use it
get
right
that
away
close.
too.
Yes.
If you store that, it's probably
the longer it's stored. Well, it depends on how you're storing it, because
Yeah.
we store ours and our yarn. You know, our yarn lasts quite a long
well,
time.
you have humidity.
Yes, yes. So you want to store it in the proper conditions as well.
Like a fur coat.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tanis, Qiviut it's not the word for muskox, is it?
No, so the traditional word for muskox is Umingmaq.
Umingmaq. Okay.
Yes.
And
And that translates into the bearded one.
Okay. And then we've been looking at some little figures.
Yes.
And what are What do you call these things
So-
that look to me like owls?
So those would be, yes, they are owls. So
Okay.
we call them ukpik.
Okay. And then the
We've got
seal.
some seals here.
Mm-hmm.
And then these are other ukpiks that are just made with rabbit fur.
Right. Okay.
And what are these made with?
That is seal skin.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the little Umingmaq here. Those are with seal skin
Seal
as
skin
well.
as well.
Seal skin and then some hide as well for the horns.
Wow, those are really nice. And you were saying that you got an indigenous artist to make these for you?
Yes, those were made by Jean Ekbahak in Ulahaktuk.
And where is Ulahaktuk?
Ulahaktuk is on Victoria Island in
Okay.
the Arctic, yes.
So
Is it part of
On the
Canada?
Northwest Territory
Oh, yes.
side of
You want to
right.
come on over here and I'll show you on the map?
Yes.
Okay.
Love to see that.
So, right here is Victoria Island. And so Cambridge Bay is right on this island here.
Oh my goodness.
And then we've got Banks Island, which is where my family is originally from. And both islands have a population of muskox as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. It's so far north.
It
I
is.
mean, look, you could, you wouldn't, but you could, like, walk over to Greenland.
Almost.
I mean, you can't, but, it's
Take a little
so
boat.
far north, right?
Yes.
It's probably closer to fly to Scandinavia than it is to, fly
Probably,
to...
and probably cheaper too. It costs a lot to fly up there.
Yeah.
And on Banks Island, there is a community called Sachs Harbour, where my family is originally from,
Mhm.
and that is the northernmost community in the Northwest Territories.
Right.
And what are the pins representing?
So
Tanis?
these are just a few of the pins. We haven't actually updated this in a while, but these are just some of the places we have sold either yarn or knitwear to.
Ah.
So we actually have to add a whole bunch more.
Mhm.
But one of our more recent knitwears went right to Tokyo, Japan, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, that was exciting. And then we've got quite a lot more throughout the States as well.
And
of
you
course,
got it in
plenty more.
Paris too,
Yes.
and London.
Yes.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've like I said, I've got to add a whole bunch more here, but we are able to ship worldwide.
Lovely. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So we are going to go into the carding room right now. And so this machine likes humidity. If there is no humidity, then we are getting Qiviut flying everywhere. It's very staticky
Right.
and really hard on the eyes.
Okay.
So come on in. Machine here.
Right.
So you can pop right in if you would like. You just
Okay.
need to mind your step
Okay.
here.
Got it.
And this is kind of where everything begins.
I see the humidifier.
Yes, we do need some, especially in the summer, because as it gets hotter, it's harder to humidify this room.
Right.
Sometimes we only have a window in the mornings to do our carding.
Yeah.
So this carding machine is built in about the 1940s, and it's got thousands and thousands of teeth, various sizes there. So we will put the raw Qiviut on there that has already been hand-picked for guard hairs, but that's what Robbie's doing on the other side, is picking more guard hairs, because it just never ends. And so for one of these belts, to get to one of the buckets there, it takes 45 minutes.
Wow.
And we will need, to move on to the next process, we need 5 buckets. But each bucket needs to be run through this machine at least 6 times. So 6 times for one bucket times 45 minutes, and then we need 5 of those.
Right.
So this is where I say our processing takes a long time,
Right.
and this is why it's just, it takes such a huge amount of time.
So I can see the carding belt is rotating in there, and I can see the picker. I don't know if that's what you call it, but there's like a round cylinder with sharp prongs on it that
Yes.
pulls the fiber forward,
Yes.
and then the carding machine is on back. And does it create a bat? Then?
Yes.
That
Yes.
you have to physically pull that bat off.
So it will come out on the other end, and
Okay.
it's just kind of feeding through, and so Robbie will pick through the guard hairs, and we'll pop one over. We also do our blends on this machine as well, so we will layer our Qiviut, our nylon, our silk, our cashmere, whichever blend we're doing.
Right.
Once that's done, though, it takes us a few hours to completely clean the machines as well, and the
Yes.
entire room, because we're trying to keep cross-contamination happening to
Yeah.
our 100% Qiviut.
Yeah. That's amazing. What a lot of work.
It is
You know, so where did you learn to do this, Tanis?
this actually, I stumbled upon this business. My brother is the entrepreneur, and he is always thinking of new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And so our people have been utilizing this animal for thousands of years, and he thought, well, why can't we make it a business? And so he found a mill in Alaska, and it used to be called Arctic Qiviut. And there was a lady, her name was Vivian Osborne, and she passed away, and her son decided to sell the equipment. So we ended up getting lucky and finding it. My brother went up there, crated it up, brought it down here, and then we started playing with the machines and trying to figure it out. And we were able to get in contact with a lovely lady in Alaska who worked in the mill, and she was able to give us a lot of advice and help as well. So previously, before this, I knew what Qiviut was.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed using it, but I never appreciated it as much as I do now.
Right.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I am, I guess, in the very new stages of the fibre world. I am learning to knit dishcloths. I am, another one is I want to drop spin at some point when I have time, but this consumes my life.
Absolutely. Yes.
But I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
I love introducing it to people and telling the world. And that is one of my goals, is to let the world know, like, hey, this fibre is here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know about it, even in the fibre world.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no,
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, you got to feel it then. Here,
Yeah.
hold a piece.
Or
Yes.
they confuse it
Yes.
with other fibers.
Yes, a lot of things, a lot of bison, buffalo,
Mhm.
and similar looking animals, but Qiviut, there's just
Comparison.
nothing better. Nothing better.
Yeah.
With his tweezers.
Robbie, that is, I mean, your attention to detail is amazing. I know some women who would love to meet you.
And Robbie, you're not wearing a mask. You're not concerned about those little fibers.
You know, it's only when I'm doing the blends, like especially with the silk, because silk like really flies around.
Yeah,
So it's only when I'm doing the blends that I'm wearing a mask.
I see.
Mhm.
The Qiviut's pretty good at staying down, but definitely the other fibers, it really
Right.
gets everywhere.
So this is such a thin bat.
Yes, so he is just starting out with that, so we will increase it
Yeah.
later on. So our first few runs we will do at a thinner bat,
Mm-hmm.
just so we can really get at those guard hairs.
Yeah.
And then once it is, after about the third bat, we will increase it up and make it a little bit thicker.
I see. So it's coming off in a wide kind of swath, but it's going through a bit of a hole there right in
Yes.
front of Robbie, and that's turning it into like a roving or a
Yes.
coil. Wow.
And then once it's
Yeah.
all done in here, like I said, we'll have our buckets. So to get one of those buckets will take him 45 minutes.
Yes.
And then we will need that to go through again another six times. And then we need 5 of those buckets to move on to the pin drafter.
Wouldn't it be good enough right at this stage?
You would think, but the guard hairs are everywhere. They are, and once you get to the spinning of Qiviut and the guard hairs are in there, that will cause more imperfections and unspun pieces. So we want to try to get out as many guard hairs as possible. You are paying very good money for this product, so for me, I want to try to ensure that there is a limited amount of guard hairs
Yeah.
as well.
What do you do with the guard hairs? Is there use for them?
Oh, there definitely is uses for them. I've had a couple people interested in purchasing some for making rugs. I think that they would be a lovely addition to a batting, as almost another wind blocker in between in a coat, which is another idea that we are playing with for the future. Again, time is limited.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I
once
would
we are able to get
imagine
some time.
They're almost maybe waterproof because, it's the outside of.
Possibly. The great thing about Qiviut too is that even when it is wet, it still keeps that heat retention. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. here, we can move on over to the pin drafters.
Look at all these, Cynthia.
Yeah. All those little coils. Wow. Okay.
So this is our pin drafter, and this is what's going to make our coils. So once we are done in the the carding room, we'll get our 5 buckets, and we will feed that through, and we will get coils that are about this size here.
Okay.
And then, but this is still too thick for us to spin. You could spin it, but for our
Right.
lace weight yarn, we want it a little bit smaller. So what this does is basically it combines them and turns it into one, and makes it also thinner. So this has also got a lot of gears to it
Mhm.
that are in here that we can change, and each gear will make changes how thick it will be.
Right.
So you can see how thick those ones are there, and then this is how it comes out here. So it is
Wow.
quite a bit thinner.
Right. Right.
Now this is the loudest machine. She
Okay.
likes to click.
Okay.
And on the inside here is all these little cones with some teeth. They're a little bit sharp.
Yes.
And so that is what's combining the fiber and keeping it straight and
Yeah.
feeding it through as well.
Yeah.
And so I'll pop that back in. And again, once this machine is done with the, say, a blend, then we have to take all those teeth out. We clean them and we grease up the machines as well.
Right.
To
Lots of
ensure-
maintenance.
It is a lot of
Tanis?
maintenance, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and cleaning.
Yes.
Well, and this is why sometimes customers will ask us, like, how come I can't get a bulky yarn, or how come I can't get, how come there's only fingering weight yarn to on offer? And I'll say, like, it's a big process for a
Yes.
mill to change all those things.
Yes,
right?
and
Yeah.
it is definitely, and like I would love to offer other ones as well, but it is, again, it's a whole other process that starts right in the carding room, where we'll have to change and play with settings,
Right.
and then same thing with this one as well. And we're just sticking to what we know right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the future, maybe we can come up with a little bit of a thicker one.
Mhm.
That means the price jumps up too. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I will start this up, and you can just see it feed right through. And
Okay.
down here is where it comes out and starts to come into a coil.
Okay.
So this I'll make sure it's, so I'll show you how slow it can go.
Okay.
Oh, he unplugged it. It might help you unplugged in. I was wondering why she was so quiet. You can hear it kind of getting started here. So this is as slow as it goes. And what we're usually watching for is to make sure that this does not catch in here. And so we have our little bounce sheets here that just kind of help with static. Because this one does not like humidity either. But sometimes it can get a little bit too staticky, so we just kind of rub on there and there. And I will start to increase it. And as it increases, the louder it gets.
Tanis, that's amazing. Do you have to keep the bounce sheet on that wheel?
Not all the time. Like I'll usually give it a little bit of a rub, and then sometimes, depending on how fast I have it, I also come over here and try to pick guard hairs. And sometimes there's like a little bumpy in there or
Yeah.
something, little piece that's gotten with all the fibers and turns into this. So I
Yeah.
try to catch those. Can't get them all, but
What
give it a
happens?
shot.
Now, this equipment has got to be very old,
Yes, it's from about the 1940s.
1940s. What happens if something breaks? What do you do?
So first of all, I try to fix it myself. And then if not, then I will have to find a machinist. And sometimes maybe a welder. It depends on what's broken. Luckily, we haven't had any issues with her yet. With the spinner, I've had to learn to fix a couple things. The carder, I've had to learn to fix a couple things as well.
Yeah.
But there is some companies that still make the brand, the Sussin, I believe it is. But they don't have like the old manuals and stuff. I got sent one, but it was in Italian, and I don't speak Italian, so
Right.
I mean, to translate it would take me an awful long time.
Right.
And then there are other, if all else fails, there are other fiber mills that I can reach out to. We were also lucky enough when we purchased it to get a bunch of extra parts as well.
Yeah.
And we were able to look at some of the books as well and find out where we can contact as well to get other parts.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think a lot of machinists would be able to take a look at it. It looks very complicated, but it's actually quite a simple machine.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's put together, like they built it to last, but they just made it. These are the parts that we need, and put it together.
Right.
My husband is into vintage cars.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of a lot like that too.
Yes.
You can't find parts for cars made in the 20s or 30s or 40s, even the 70s. And so now they're making a lot of parts out of composite materials by computer
Yes.
on these machines. Maybe that would work for you.
That might be a possibility, yes. And as each year passes, I'm thinking more and more like I need to make sure I have parts lined up, because one thing stops working, our entire
That's it.
process is shut down,
Wow.
and then we're just kind of bleeding money. So
Mm-hmm.
I will pull this out though and show you.
Wow,
So
look
there
at how
is-
beautiful that
Yeah.
is.
Coil here. And so this one is a little bit thinner than I usually like to have for spinning, but this is,
What weight will that spin
this would
into?
spin definitely a lace weight.
Lace weight.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so usually it's quite a bit larger, and then it's ready for spinning, and then we
Yeah.
usually take it on over to our spinner, which is where you'll see this is where the magic really happens.
Okay.
So here is our spinner, and this is the one that I said I've had to fix this myself. The first thing to ever break on me was this weight here. So it was quite simple. It's just a little what they call airplane wire. The tricky part was having to keep it elevated so that I could hook it back on. When I first did it, it took me about an hour and a half to do it. Now I could do it in about 15 minutes.
Oh man. So we like to say, that you're MacGyvering things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Is that a term used in
Oh,
the Arctic as
definitely.
well, or do you
Oh
have
yeah, for sure. Yeah. That or red green.
a red green? Yes.
We like
yes.
duct tape, so we sometimes use it if we have to. So this is a coil that is ready for us to spin. This is our sock blend here.
Oh,
So you can see it's
so
just a bit
cool.
thicker than the one that was in there.
Yeah.
And so
Look
we
at that.
will.
It's like soft serve ice cream.
It is. Would you like to have a feel?
I would. Oh, Tanis.
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
it's like a cloud or
Cloud.
a kitten. I mean,
And it's
Yeah.
very lightweight. Would you like to feel the?
Oh my gosh.
so how
And
much
these ones
do-
are a little bit heavier than the 100%. The 100%, it's like a
it's like
feather.
spinning air.
Yes.
Hey?
I'd say
Yes.
it's like 25 grams.
Yes. This one is. This one would be about 50 grams.
Oh, 50
Yeah,
grams.
50
Mhm.
grams.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Man, a whipped cream.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Whipped cream, yeah.
So I have had one bought. This is just from a previous one that had already been plied, so we just add on to it. And we have a vacuum here, which is connected to this part here. So what this is going to do is it's going to kind of keep the fiber from just kind of going everywhere,
Mhm.
and then I can connect it in.
Can you reuse it?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
it's all in here, and I take it. Oh, I don't waste nothing. I keep everything. You see, we've got a little bucket here,
Yeah.
and so what we'll do with this is we can recard it for our next blend
Yeah.
Yeah.
as well. So I'll just take this and get it all set up here. Just give it a little twist,
Put a little twist in it.
and then feed it through. And this takes, so for a sock blend, it takes an hour to spin that. So I'm usually standing here, and again, guard hairs.
Right.
There are guard hairs in here, and so I'm usually trying to pick them out a little.
Oh man.
Yeah, and honestly, I may not have to do that. It might just be me where I want to get it as close to perfect as possible.
Yeah.
Other people may be like, you're insane and you really don't need to do that much work for it, but I like to.
Well, the knitters sure appreciate it. Tanis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is my goal, is to make sure everybody is happy, right? And you are spending a good amount of money on this. And I want you to make sure you get your money's worth for sure. I'm just going to change my settings here. So what I have here is one is connected to the spindle speed and one is the feed rate. And so those need to be at the exact rates, rolls per minute for it to come out.
I like that homemade cheat sheet you've got on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we have more blends, each one has a different setting.
Yeah.
Slightly
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, a slightly different setting. And then even sometimes, even from each coil, sometimes one is a little bit of a smaller weight.
Right.
So we'll just have to, just a smidge sometimes.
Tweak it. Yeah.
If you have the these a little bit off, you're going to end up with thread, which is what I did when we first started this business. Was I made a couple spools of thread, and I was like, this does not look right. And I think we had a piece actually that yes. So we ended up, we made a lot. So this is what we ended up making. This is our thread, basically. So you can feel that this is 100%. You can feel that this is doesn't feel the same as the yarn.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's spun really tightly.
Yes,
Yes.
it was spun way too tightly.
Right.
But again, we didn't throw it away because
Yeah.
You
we
gotta
use
have
it for
those
something.
souvenirs
Exactly.
of your
Yes.
progress
Yes.
too as an artist, because this is really what you are, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is something that, I am still getting used to being called as an artist. Like I said, I'm going up to the north for some arts festivals, and I'm like, I don't feel like an artist. I was a teacher before. I taught elementary school, so it is something that I'm getting used to being called. And,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, spinning, we tend to think of spinning as a trade, right?
Yes.
And maybe the knitter or the weaver as the artist. But what people, I think, don't realize is how much knowledge and experience and sophistication goes into making all these decisions and the fine-tuning
Yes.
to create a product that those other artists can use.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It is a lengthy process. For sure.
Yeah. And again, these fibers are really short, and so the spin, the twist, the amount of twist that you have to put into it just to keep the fibers holding together
Yes.
is quite high, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. We have here, so I will just get this all ready. And so boom. So sometimes, here is another issue. We have some belts on here, and sometimes they just slide off the spot. So I just need to get that right back onto the loop there. And that's what will keep it from spinning. So we are set now.
Okay.
We'll try that again. And that was another thing that happened. And I was like, what is wrong with this machine? And it was an easy fix. And then I basically look down here and get out these garters. As you can see, there's sometimes some lengthy ones in there, right? So we want to get those out as much as possible. And occasionally you may find like a little bump in there that you're like, oh, that's going to cause a problem. So you pull it out. You often have to be kind of speedy to catch them all.
Here's a guard hair, and this feels softer than human hair. It feels.
These little garden hairs aren't too thick compared to most of the garden hairs that are really thick and coarse have been pulled out at the beginning stages as well. these may not cause too much issues, but it also depends on how they're laid out. Sometimes they may be in a half, and then all of a sudden you get a piece that isn't spun because it's just causing an issue. And here we just check kind of our tension. And it'll take an hour time for that. Feel free to keep it. And sometimes you get a section that's just got a whole whack load of guard hairs.
So can you have several bobbins on here at the same time?
You can. And that is something where that takes a little bit more finesse. You definitely need to be kind of on the ball. And that's where if you want to have all these full, then you're not really paying attention to the guard hairs. You're just kind of letting it go because there's no way that you can. I'm not an octopus. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So I tend to try to do 1 or 2 coils. And for production purposes, it would make more sense to have them all going.
Yeah.
But then I feel like my product wouldn't be as good as I can make it.
Right. Yeah.
So here I will just pause this, and then you can see. Here is
that
our.
a one ply?
This is a 1 ply here, and then we
That's
usually kind of test it out and to see how our.
I'm just sorry. I'm
Oh,
butting
no
my camera
worries,
right
no
into your
worries.
face there.
Get as close as you have
Yeah.
to.
That's really cool, Tanis. Yeah. So you're testing out the
The
twist.
Yes,
and
the twist.
and the final kind of dimensions of the fiber.
What are you
Yes.
looking for there?
I usually look for about 11 to 13
Ah,
twists.
Twist
Per
per inch.
inch?
Twist per inch, yes.
gotcha.
And at this point, I've just eyeballed it now.
Yeah.
I used to stand here and count
Yeah.
them all and really, really make sure. But now I just kind of like, oh, that's good. And then I
Yeah.
kind of do a what I call a strength test, just kind of pulling it to make sure that it is still going to hold up
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that there isn't, there may be weak points in there. And this is the tricky part, is because my hand can't fit right around that. And you just kind of wind it back up here. And what I will show you next is the plying part.
Right.
So I'm going to do something that I usually never do.
Cut.
Oh.
Cut that. But that's okay. We will connect it all back together later. And we'll put that there. And then we take this one off. So this one just takes a little bit of time to reset. We'll put our bobbins here.
Oh, so you're going to ply on this machine as well.
Yes, so this machine kind of does a little bit of all.
Wow, that's really sophisticated, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to
That's
move
cool.
this up here so that it doesn't. I try to do. Oh no, it's missing. I usually have a little broom here
Right.
just to catch up all these fibers, just so that nothing is flying around too much. And I will get a flying spool. No,
Robbie is still picking.
so
Robbie, when you put on like a wool vest or a coat or something like that, do you find yourself picking fibers off it, like just lint? No. Picking is only here and on the job.
Yeah.
he doesn't want to do that.
You're not a nitpicker.
And
All right.
separating.
Yeah, so you're putting two singles together.
So because our sock yarn is a
Right.
3-ply.
Right.
So this one, our sock yarn takes a lot longer to make. So this would be, so each of these would have a coil. So that would be about 3 hours
right.
of spinning, and then we've got to ply it. So plying takes about an hour and a half for the sock yarn. Actually, no, sorry, that's about an hour for the sock yarn. And then from there, then we start the skein winding.
Right.
So the sock yarn is a longer process.
Mhm.
And just layering the fibers onto the belt for
Yeah.
the just see it here.
Yeah, so the sock yarn, the fiber itself is blended on the carding machine, and then you've got to run it through the, what do you call that
Pin
one?
drafter.
The pin drafter, and then you've got to spin it into singles, and now you're taking 3 singles and turning them into applied
Yes.
sock yarn. Wow.
So here I just tie it on.
And each one of those singles is the same blend, right?
Yes.
Or
Mhm.
percentage of blend.
Yes, they are all the same blend, and they all came from the same batch as well. So
Wow.
we only usually do like a batch at a time. But the next time I do it depends too, because just to get our 100%, we need 4,400 grams of Qiviut. And that is a lot of buckets.
Yeah.
And so we need that washed and picked. And like what you've seen here is what we have right now that is ready
Right.
for carding. But it's definitely not enough. It's not close to enough right now. So, and then each blend has its own amount of Qiviut that is needed. The other fibers, that's easy to come by. I just can purchase that somewhere else. But this one, we have to comb it, we have to pick it, and we have to wash
Yeah,
it.
and it's just the 2 of you doing this
Yes.
most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
We do have occasionally my sister-in-law or her niece-in-law will come in and they will help us. We are looking at hiring a couple more people, and it would be great for when we are gone, so that our plan is that they're going to comb and pick and have
Yes.
it all ready for us when we come back, and then we can train them on all the machines.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tighten these up. There's no
This would be a great opportunity for students, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you, I mean, Tanis, you have an incredible work ethic. I gotta say that, right?
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
sometimes trying to convince other people to do all these tasks, right,
Yes.
it's hard.
We know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And to do it with the same attention to detail that you and Robbie are doing it with, you know?
Yes. I've even tried hiring my own niece and nephew, and once they were combing and picking, and they were like, no, we're done. It's not for everyone, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
So here we are. We've got everything ready.
Okay.
All of the stuff is set. I will just double check because you
Mhm.
might miss something. And this is the easiest part of the job, to be honest. So what I like to do when I do this is I multitask. So as this is going, you're watching to make sure that no strands break. That's pretty much it. And so what I'll do is, if there's something to wind, I'll wind. Or I'm picking,
Right.
usually. And this is the one job where I can actually sit down. So here we go, and start sticking it through. Okay, so we could have had an issue right now, and that would make sense. Oh, I see. Something with an issue here. So I'll just have to break that. So that was not a normal, that's not normally what
Yeah.
should happen.
But this is what sometimes we do. We find little
Oh,
knots
I
or
know what I
breaks.
That's the wrong one. You want a nice fat one. There we go.
A clip.
And just to double check that these are all still on, because sometimes they just like to fall off. So this one I will just have to restart this one. And this is something where because it's so tight now, that I will just add this
Right.
into our yarn
Yeah.
scrap bucket. And
Yeah.
use that. Now that was a little bit strange.
Yeah, so this is cool, right? This is how you can get little slubs in a yarn, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's sometimes customers
Have
will
this
complain because there's a
expectation.
knot in one of the plies, right? And we
Yeah.
tell them that at the mill, it's it's industry standard to have some knots in the plies, because if it's going to break.
Yeah.
They're very thin, and you don't want to throw away an entire batch because of one knot. So
Right.
I think Holly Yo said in a class the other day that 5 knots were kind of like
Accept-
industry standard.
Yeah. On a skein.
We'll have to keep that in mind, hey, Robbie?
What's your standard, Robbie?
None.
None.
Yeah.
We try to have absolutely none in them.
Yeah.
And again, that could be just me being very picky.
Mhm.
And from what I've heard, I think I am just a little too picky.
Well, I mean, that's just it. Like you in order to ensure that there are no knots, it means more wastage in that sense. And so the fact that you're manually dealing with that waste to
Yes.
recycle it, like it's all takes more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're lucky we've actually got a little splicer here that does will cut it out and do the joining as well.
Oh,
so that
okay.
is
Cool.
Nice.
that is a wonderful, wonderful
Little tool.
piece of equipment that we
Mhm.
have. And it once was broken, and so we were doing it by hand, and we'll never do that again. That takes too long. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Already sounds better. We will see.
You can see those strands coming down.
Oh my gosh. And of course, right when you're recording, something is going on with this machine.
That's all right.
Okay, what am I missing? Okay, so wondering what's wrong. I forgot to take parts off. So what I will do,
It's Barb's fault because she's distracting us.
It's my fault, yeah.
Mhm.
that actually, I don't think that's happened before. So as you can see, I'm going to try and salvage this.
Okay. Yeah. So you're taking some of that extra twist out because it was basically just building up the twist
Yes.
and not winding onto the.
Yeah, because those are
Oh.
those are just strictly for spinning.
Mm-hmm.
So what it's doing is was spinning and plying at
You're
the same
right,
time.
yeah.
Trying to do. So I am going to. Robbie, do you mind us popping over and just doing a quick wind back there? So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
carefully trying to take these
Tanis is
strands apart.
yeah. She's taking some twist out of the strands.
Yeah, it's some technical. It's not. You,
Robbie's winding it back onto the bobbins so they don't get all coiled up.
Yeah, just so I can get my fingers through.
Tell you, these guys are pros.
No
man.
kidding.
Mhm.
There we go.
Mm.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get.
Teamwork in action.
Is it white?
This one's just a little bit trickier. There we go. And you can wind a little bit.
Mhm.
And so when something like this happens, this takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, you gotta untwist as
Yes.
Yep.
And
Yes.
like I said, it takes so long just to get this blend that I really don't want to cut this all off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am
Yeah.
just trying to, and sometimes it may just end up breaking, but we will
Yeah.
see what we can salvage quickly here. This is how much time it takes to get to one skein, and this is why it's so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pardon me,
No, not at all.
little tickle there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
now she'll be good.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. And you will see. There. Quick. And so this is where I will stand, and so I usually pick guard hairs, or I'm skein winding, or I'm trying to do a post on my phone. Whatever I can do to get 2 jobs done. This is also a good time when you're dyeing. Natural color. This, so the one on this side, yeah, that is the natural color of the 100%.
So the plant would light it up.
Yes, because of the nylon silk in the merino. Yes, that definitely lightens it up. And then we put the dye in. The dye, they taste different, right? Different colors. So I also tell people, like, whatever you see online, it may come out different. I cannot guarantee that it will look like different computers and stuff as well. So this for 3 full coils on there, that will take an hour for it to sit. So we will sit here for an hour, and we try not to have any breaks. Something with the sock yarn is that if you stop it and then you restart it, it gets this little weird blip in it. Not sure why. It's only with the sock that I've found so far. It's only sock. So it could just be because it's a 3-ply and then getting it started right here. So, and then there's just a little break. Those are our breaks there. And you will see.
So yeah, now it's not coiling in on itself.
And you've got the...
Wow, it sure is nice and round too, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 plies is
This is our
nice.
skein winder. And so this machine can be plugged in and it can go extremely fast. What I find though is that sometimes the bobbins catch and pop up. And I've had one almost fly at my face. So for one, I find it a hazard to have it just going on its own.
Right.
I also have found that if you are just letting it go, that you are missing all those imperfections,
Right.
which I don't like. So this one right here is actually 100%. So you can see the color there, and it is a 2-ply lace weight.
Yeah. Wow. It's so
Yes,
thin.
it is very fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just pop it on here, and then we will go and just do a little threading here. And this one may be enough for... We have started offering, and they're not on the website yet, but we've offered half skeins as well.
Okay.
For those that, because our skeins, our 100% skeins are 437 yards, 58 grams. So they are quite large. And sometimes somebody just needs just a half just to make a smaller piece.
Yeah.
So what I do here is I basically stop, pull it out a bit, and then always checking to see if there is any imperfections that we don't want in there. And once you come across one, which I don't usually wish for one, but I'd like to show you my splicer.
Ah.
So, and
So you're doing the whole thing by hand.
yes, pretty much everything in here is lengthy.
Yeah.
And this one seems to be done really
Good.
well, so
Good.
Good. Yep.
no issue in here. But what I can do is I can probably show you on a piece of scrap yarn as well.
There we go. Yeah.
Because this just doesn't seem like we're going to come
Yeah.
across
Don't
one.
it?
Sometimes you get a few of them in a row, but this one is just lovely. So, yay.
Mm-hmm.
And okay.
Do you make them a specific size? Can that winder go smaller
Yes.
or bigger?
So this is our setting. So this will allow us to, we have a specific number that we go to that will get us to our 437 yards, and then we'll usually just adjust it because our sock blend is actually 375 yards. So we have a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is you have to have the same tension holding this, because that determines how tight it is on here. If you're a little bit looser, then it may take a couple more rotations to go through. There's been times where we've taken it off and we're like 3 grams under, and we're like, put it back on, add to it.
Yeah.
Because we offer 58 grams. Sometimes somebody gets lucky and they get 63 grams, and when it's like that, I'm not taking it and putting it back on and cutting it off. No, thank you. That's just a lot of extra work.
Mm-hmm.
So because I cannot show you on there, I'm going to find that piece of scrap yarn here and see if I can find a long enough piece. And it's connected to a compressor here, and it does make a bit of a noise. That. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna imagine that there is a crappy piece in there. And so we just going to crisscross it, and the bad stuff will be on the outside.
Okay.
And the good on the inside. And this is just going to basically cut out the bad and connect the two ends. And pull out the bad. Oh no! And sometimes your splice just isn't good enough.
Yep.
So usually just tie a knot
Try that again.
and try it again.
No, this is perfect.
We'll
This
go.
is everyday life at the
Fiber mill.
Yes.
Qiviut.
Qiviut.
Qiviut?
Yes.
Yeah.
mill.
Yeah, so let's try that again. Robbie, it's not splicing. It keeps like breaking it, like completely. Oh, Chris, cross. No issues, everything looks fine. I don't know.
Not working.
Hey. Yeah, I don't know. I think I need to take it apart and just take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
But
it's really cool when it works.
Yeah. It's really cool that they make devices like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it usually does put it together very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason today.
I just love these little piles of
I know.
whipped
So we've
cream.
got all of our and so
Yeah.
this is all of our sock blend right now. So we can only do a blend at a time. And so right now it's Sock's Lucky Turn because that one is it is a good seller
For sure.
and then once we're done this one we are going to be working on just doing 100% again.
Yeah.
And we would like to double up that batch so we have a lot more.
Yeah. Who
of it.
doesn't love socks?
Yes.
Really? Like, you know? Yeah.
And one of our skeins of sock is enough for a pair of socks. Then you
Right.
should have a little bit left over.
Yeah.
And the yarn you can use it for various things as
Yeah.
well.
A
It's,
shawl or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called
it's
dibs
really good
on that
for
last skein of
mittens.
sock yarn, Barb. Just saying. Just saying.
Okay.
So we'll go to the cone winder here, and that is this machine.
You make cones too.
Yes, so we don't do it very often, but because we don't sell them very often.
Mhm.
If somebody does request it, then we will do it. But what we do it for is so we have it ready for our knitting machine here.
Oh, Barb,
Ah.
are you drooling here?
A
Like, so
little bit. Yeah.
Barb has an obsession.
Yeah.
Ah,
Tanis
okay.
has a brother.
Mm-hmm.
940.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and look at all these tools she's got
I know.
here.
Well,
And,
and
like,
look at this.
Your
So
next sweater could be a Qiviut sweater, Barb.
I'm a
Wow.
beginner,
Uh-huh.
just a very beginner.
And I will admit, so am I. I didn't even know these existed until Robbie came and said, "Hey, do you have knitting machines?" And he was actually trained on them in Ulahaktuk. There's a craft shop there. So he was trained on these machines there.
On the
And
brother.
So, yes. So he came in, I taught him all this, but he taught me this. And he is teaching me the finishing and the knitting and stuff as well.
Wow.
He is a huge asset to our company and just an amazing artist himself.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say he's shy?
He is shy. Oh, well, I just have to give you props. You're amazing. So
Can I
this
push
is,
in here beside
yes,
you?
just got our bobbin down there. And I just hold a little bit for tension. And this will just go. Usually to get a full skein on there, it takes about 20-25 minutes. If all goes well and there's no breakage.
And if you stop and start this machine, it doesn't disrupt the process so much?
Nope.
Okay.
No, everything just goes right through and very smooth. So it just goes on
Yeah.
and start it all over again. Like, and here I'm getting some ready for the cultural festivals up north. So I've been doing a lot of practicing, trying to practice more on these knitting machines to get a little bit more proficient, and then do a little demonstrations on them. They will all see that I am not a professional, but my nephew named this one. He called it Dreamy Purple. And then we've got here is our Tundra Lakes.
Can you tell who likes purple?
Oh, yes, my favorite color too. And then we've got this one is our Tundra Gold.
Beautiful.
And that is again our Tundra Lakes, but this one is in the Nivea blend. And this one is in our 100%. So you can see the color difference.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you dye those all here.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Does Qiviut take dye really, like, does it take it well?
It does, yes. But it'll be a little bit darker. And I'm just going to have Robbie just to do a demonstration on here.
So, Robbie, when did you start knitting? How old were you?
I was probably about 23,
Okay.
maybe a little bit older.
So, like 2 years ago?
No.
Oh.
13, 14 years ago. Maybe.
And we're lucky we've got the garter carriage there, which can just start it up and it can go by itself.
Oh.
And make garter stitch?
Yes, it can do quite a few others, right, Robbie? Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Recently we did some fingerless gloves, so that's able to do our ribbing for us.
Oh.
Nice. So does this have a ribber built into it as well?
We do have, it doesn't have it built in. We just recently acquired some parts for it. We've got some, as you can see down here.
Yeah, you got a couple
We've
extra
got
machines.
A few things. There was a lady selling a bunch of stuff. So I still have yet to go through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
but you've got parts.
we've got parts, and then whatever else we don't think we'll use, then I'll put up for sale as well. As often people will. A lot of people need these bits and bobs, and I don't want to hoard them.
Exactly. Yeah.
These are absolutely amazing. What you can make with these is just... So what he's doing right now is just putting the kind of the waste yarn.
Like a provisional cast.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's
You're talking our language, Robbie.
got a
He's better with the
cast-on
terminology, definitely, than I am. And there is our comb.
So what is the biggest project you've made on a knitting machine, Robbie?
I think a scarf so far. I'd love to attempt a sweater someday.
Yes. I think Robbie should join your machine knitters group, Barb.
Oh, you have a machine knitters group. I should join that too.
Yeah.
We're very beginner stages.
Meg. Is it like, do you guys all get together here?
Once a month.
Oh.
And what happened was during COVID, we had so many people that had huge stashes.
Oh,
Cynthia and I wanted to get people back into using it up. And so we thought a knitting machine would be a great way to do that.
Definitely.
We found a supplier in Toronto who had some Singer LK 150s.
Okay.
Just a small plastic, lightweight bed you could put underneath your bed or store in a closet when you weren't using it. But it was like a hobby machine. Like it's plastic, but it still can do everything that your brother can do. It doesn't have a ribber.
Okay.
But it can do hand manipulation.
Yes.
And you can certainly make ribbing or mock ribbing.
Oh, yes.
And so we've been meeting once a month on Zoom to explore questions and troubleshoot and
share resources and kind of challenge each other, right?
And challenge each other to keep going, because that's the thing, right? You know, it's easy to put these in a corner and not use them.
Yeah.
And you have to. I've learned so much about machine knitting in the last 4 months.
Yes, yes.
Just
there
because
is so much. There's so much to learn, and so many things you can do. So now he has got our 100% on there.
Wow. So look at this. What setting do you have that on, Robbie? What stitch size?
I have it on tension 2.
2. Wow. Very fine.
That's usually what we do our headbands in, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We usually do a headband in that. And that will be probably what we'll be using the rest of our yarn for the festivals up north. Because it will have a gallery to put our things in as well.
Mhm.
But as you see, it's stock as well, so I won't have a whole lot because it is what get into. A whole lot to
Yeah. So is there a time of year when you are stocked, or is it pretty much you're running from?
It's
Do you like the way it's looking,
like,
Robbie?
like
Yep.
Qiviut just like that. And as quickly as I make the it quickly is. But we've also had a lot of I was just fiber there. Fiber solid.
So Robbie, will you make a swatch of fabric and then sew it into something else, or?
I've done that a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've sent stuff down in it at those markets. The stuff goes.
Are you pulling out garden hairs?
No, I was just pulling out a little imperfection.
I've just been humming and playing, but now I'm here and I can feel it. She got and she's like, I just need So a lot of people that don't know what Qiviut is or have not had the chance to feel it will not understand the price point, or if they don't understand how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
I've had people, even come up to the table and they'll look and they'll start to purchase and they're like, oh, I thought it was $100, and I'm like, no, sorry, it's more, and they're like, oh no, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, possibly to you, but if you come in and see, I'm like, come in for a mill tour.
Yeah.
Come in and see what I do, and then you'll understand how much and why I charge what I charge. And I was even told that I'm undercharging for our yarn. But at this point, I just would like to keep the price as is, and let people give it a try.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I say, like, it's an heirloom yarn. It's an investment piece.
Right. Also, I mean, like you could probably find 100% wool at a much lower price, but again, it's a whole different.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smaller animal. It gets sheared. The mills are set up for that, and this is a really specialized spinning process.
This is like the gelato of ice creams. This is the.
Here comes Barb's Italian.
We deal with this all the time.
Yes.
Right. We sell skeins of yarn that are $50.
Yes.
And skeins of yarn that are $12.
Yeah.
Well, the cashmere that we've got from Rowan, right? It's $80 a skein, and
yes.
And so you might not make a sweater with it.
Yeah.
You might make a beautiful hat with it, and same thing with the Qiviut. Again, it doesn't have to be a showy thing. Like wouldn't it be nice just to have some to put in the tips of your mittens?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where, we were happy. My brother came up with the idea of the Nunahid hand warmers. He's like, well, Grandma and Grandpa is just stuff in their mitts and boots. He's like, why can't we sell? And it's all natural, sustainable.
Yeah.
That is such a important part, especially in this day and age when, our planet is crying. So I want to, reduce, reuse, recycle as much as possible. Yeah. And to also, I'm, proud that I'm making products that are going to last. Yeah. If you take good care of it, these will last for generations. Yeah. My friend had a baby hat. 35 years later, her daughter used the same hat. Yeah. So it lasts.
So the reason, again, just back to, fiber, the Qiviut fiber, it doesn't felt. No. So that means it doesn't have scales on it. No. Is Qiviut fiber hollow?
No.
So what makes it so warm and insulating?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly,
maybe it's the density of the fiber?
I think so. And it's just, somebody asked me that and I said, creator made it that way.
Okay.
It's just like, these big beasts need to survive the ice age.
Yes.
I'll show you a little piece here and you can see kind of the staple lengths and stuff as well. So here is,
Right there.
it's really, really tricky to see, but see, pulling a little bit there.
Yeah, let's put it against my white
Oh, there we go.
sleeve there. Look
So
at
there's a
that.
couple of,
Oh, that's actually longer than I thought.
these ones are more the guard hairs.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the,
Yeah.
right here. And that's another little bit of a, it's tricky to really see it because it's so fine.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not a very long
Yeah,
staple length.
Maybe 2 inches, maybe
Yes.
2.5 inches.
Yes,
Yeah.
about there.
Yeah. And when you blend it with other fibers, like, so you're saying you blend it with silk?
So I do have a blend that is with cashmere and
Right.
silk.
Okay,
And then we have a blend that's got superwash merino and silk.
great.
And then the sock yarn that's got some nylon added in. And we chose superwash merino because it doesn't felt.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have to do anything to those other fibers to create a standard kind of staple length?
No, so I
blend?
purchase it. Well, basically, like with our, here, I'll show you, with our, I guess we do some work to it. So with the bits, because we get these,
Oh.
here's our silk, and
Yes.
it's just
Yeah.
very, basically one uniform piece.
Right. So you put that
So-
through the carding machine?
So I won't put it through this way. What we do is I will break it down.
Right.
And what I'll do from there is even more.
Right.
I try to spread it out a little bit, and then we'll layer it.
Right. Otherwise, it
on.
won't blend in.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it will. This will like end up wrapping around the
Mhm.
first drums,
Yes.
and then it's just a bit of a pain, and then you're not getting, all of your fibers
Yeah.
into your blend as
Yeah.
well. So that takes quite a bit of time, especially the silk.
Yeah.
The silk is the longest one, and it is the most annoying fiber because when it's up in the air,
Yes.
it is getting in your face and your
Mhm.
eyes. We usually definitely have eye protection in there at that time and a mask, as you can
Yeah.
see. Look at that.
Yeah.
There she is. And then same thing with this one is
Cashmere.
our cashmere. Yeah, and we just little bits here and there,
Mhm.
and then we'll just layer it all on top of our Qiviut,
Right.
and then it's like a sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, you really are like a chef. The blends, getting the right composition, the right percentages, and then doing all that teasing and filtering it through. Like
I know.
Tanis, we can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you for coming.
For sharing all this with us. I'm gonna hang on. There we go. There we go. There.
Three
So
of us?
yeah. So yeah, Tanis, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us today. I know we've taken a big chunk out of your work day, and I know you're always doing 3 jobs at a time, so it's an even bigger chunk out of your day. So we really, really appreciate this. We're going to make sure that people know how to get in touch with
That'd
you,
be great.
how to find your products, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed meeting you, and it's so nice to have you in here. And
Yeah.
any publicity is good publicity.
Right. So teach us how to say thank you in Inuktitut.
My language is actually Inuvialuktun. So it's just Inuktitut's more in the Eastern Arctic, and we're Western Arctic.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are all Inuit,
Yeah.
but in our area we're called the Inuvialut.
Okay.
Yes, and that's
Okay.
in the
New
Western Arctic.
Yes.
And so in our language we would say Quyanainni for thank you.
Quyanainni.
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 Yes.
Quyanainni. All right.
Yes.
Quyanainni. Thank you again. This has been a really fascinaking day.
Oh, thank you
I've
so
just
much
had a
for
great
coming.
time.
Thank you.
All right, so we're just here at the front desk saying goodbye and packing up all the stuff that we're taking home with us, because it wouldn't be a mill tour without some shopping, right, Barb?
That's right. And then check this out. Cynthia got this.
The last skein.
Oh,
All right.
and well, it wasn't quite the last game
No.
because, this was the last.
The last
game.
100%.
So soft. Tanis is making more. Don't worry. It's all
This
good.
one's called Beaufort Blue,
Yeah, isn't
and
it?
it's so deep
Beautiful.
blue. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So that's going to be a hat.
And Cynthia's going to spin this and have this into a hat tomorrow.
Oh man, so yeah, I'm just gonna say one more time, Tanis, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Oh, you're
We
welcome.
had such a great time.
Can you say it in Tanis's
Oh,
native language?
I forgot it. I forgot how to say thank you already.
Quyanainni.
Quyanainni. Okay, Quyanainni.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, you do it. Barb.
Quyanainni.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Quyanainni. Yes.
Many thanks. It's been a real pleasure doing this today. Yeah. And now I can't wait to get home and start another project.
Yes.
Because that's what I do, right?
Yes, and keep us updated. I'd love to see what you make with it as well.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right, let's say goodbye and we'll head back to the city. And we really loved coming out here, Tanis, because, you know, you're in the middle of a big field.
Yes.
It's lovely.
Yeah.